Hi there, and welcome back to another edition of Behind the Investigation. I'm investigative reporter Rachel Polanski, and joined with me now is my colleague and friend, Andy Parati. Andy, thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Andy, you've been working on a number of stories we've titled The Sixth, award-winning pieces, really talking about a broken judicial system. This latest story focuses on this man that's been behind bars 10 years and has still not had his day in court. Tell us a little bit more about this crazy story.
Yeah, Rachel, thank you. So this is actually an update to an investigation that we first brought to you guys in April. It involves a man that you just mentioned, Maurice Jemerson, who has been waiting behind bars 10 years to go to trial. And what we found out next literally had my jaw dropping when I interviewed an attorney that is now representing him. Take a listen.
Are there any other matters with regard to scheduling for these motion hearings?
Maurice Jemerson appears before a judge this week. His attorney hoping his client can finally get his day in court.
This case has been languishing for a while, so I prefer a July setting if possible.
Arrested for murder in 2013, he spent the past 10 years behind bars, awaiting trial. A jury acquitted two of his co-defendants for the same crime years ago.
You don't need a law degree to know there's something wrong here. But that will just...
Andrew Fleischman is Maurice's attorney. He's representing the 32-year-old for free after hearing about his case on Atlanta News First this past April.
Even if I tell somebody that Maurice, where is Maurice? How is Maurice? Well, Maurice is still locked up. They don't believe it because it's been 10 years.
How rare is this? This is the longest that someone has been held pre-trial in American history.
In American history?
As far as I can tell, yeah.
Andrew says the delay is a clear violation of the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, which guarantees everyone accused of a crime the right to an attorney if they can't afford one and the right to a speedy trial.
We should not punish people until we've proven they've committed a crime.
An Atlanta News First investigation uncovered Maurice isn't the only person accused of a crime in Georgia whose constitutional rights are in jeopardy. In Fulton County, the state's largest, court records show at least 13,000 felony cases not indicted by grand juries last year. That's thousands of people arrested by police, booked in jail, but never officially charged with the crime.
Feels awful. Feels terrible.
Quintravious Nelson is one of them, arrested in 2020 for aggravated assault, a crime he claims he did not commit. For nearly 3 years, he's been under house arrest with no formal charges, required to wear this ankle monitor at all times, which cost him $300 a month. Not in jail, but a prisoner in his own home.
I'm 26 now. This has been on me since I was 22. So I done missed out on a lot of things, graduations, celebrations, funerals. It's like life just still going and I'm just stuck in one spot.
Last year, he filed this application with the Georgia Public Defender Council, requesting an attorney. He says the agency still hasn't appointed one to him.
And it's hard.
Quandria is his mother.
It's been hard. It's like running into brick wall after brick wall because we don't know everything that we need to do. And when we try to get help, we just don't have it.
There are a number of motions.
Back in Dougherty County, Maurice's attorney filed a motion to dismiss the case, hoping the judge will recognize holding someone a decade behind bars to face charges is against the law.
We have a presumption that people are innocent, and that means we're not supposed to punish them until after a jury has found beyond a reasonable doubt that they're guilty of something.
Wow, the longest someone has been held pretrial in American history. That's what that attorney said.
That was what made my jaw drop.
Right. What was going through your mind when he said that to you?
Well, at first, sadly, it didn't surprise me because I had this, after the first story aired in April, it kind of went viral. The story went viral. A lot of people in law were tweeting about it, sharing it, and they had never heard anything about this. But when you hear it from an attorney that has the experience like Andrew Fleischman, who has argued before the Georgia Supreme Court, the Georgia Court of Appeals, that exonerated 4 people in Georgia, when he says it, you know it's true.
Right. So you really covered two stories here, so let's kind of break down each. So the first man that's been behind bars 10 years, where does his trial stand now? What's next for that case?
So, as you saw in the piece, Andrew Fleischman has filed a motion to dismiss the case. A hearing to address that motion is scheduled for the end of this month, the end of June. If there is no dismissal in that case, the trial date could be as early as July, maybe November, but obviously because this has been waiting so long, his attorney is advocating for a trial as soon as possible.
Right, and I have to imagine that you putting this on the air, having an attorney of Fleischman's status, this has to help in some way elevate this case.
You hope so. I mean, as I have repeatedly said to people that I've told this story to, is that this story is not about his guilt or innocence. It is about identifying a constitutional right as being violated. In this particular instance, the Sixth Amendment, not only a right to a speedy trial, but this man did not have an attorney for 8 months until we profiled his case back in April, and then after airing it, Andrew and others saw the story and reached out to me wanting to represent him.
Right, and I mean, they say innocent until proven guilty. There's a reason why people use that saying.
Yep, exactly.
The second man, Mr. Nelson, I think his name was, how did you get in touch with him, and is there any movement on that case?
So Quantravius Nelson's mom emailed us just last week, and her email title, subject headline was, "Please help." And we reached out to her, and essentially the story was just like you saw. He was arrested for a crime almost 3 years ago, arrested for a felony, aggravated assault, but he's never been officially charged. But despite that, he's under house arrest, and he's having to wear this ankle monitor. And he's one of the lucky ones, and I say that with air quotes because there are so many people that are in jail facing similar situations where they don't have an official charge on their record, but they've been arrested, but they can't afford a bond to get out and wait for their trial outside of jail. So unfortunately, as you saw, thousands of people are in similar situations in Fulton County, and that's just one county in Georgia.
Right, I was going to say that I actually wrote down a note when you mentioned that. I think it was something like 13,000 felony cases not indicted in Fulton, and you've covered this in your previous stories, but for some of our viewers that might not have seen them all, why is this happening? Is it a public defender crisis, a shortage? Why?
So we already had a backlog before the pandemic. There was already a lot of cases that the counties just was not able to move forward in a quick enough time to meet even the statutory requirement of a speedy trial. Then the pandemic hit, bam. And then, so you had this issue that was already lingering, and then the pandemic sort of exploded it, where a lot of people were stuck in the system because the courts weren't working effectively. There were no jury trials for a long time. People that were working in this criminal justice system were leaving, especially public defenders. A new head of the state's public defender system came in. She was initially faced with budget shortfalls that she had to address, but a lot of people also left because they believed that she wasn't effective at her job. And so all that combined is what's sort of contributing to this crisis.
Right, and I want to mention again that Andy has done extensive reporting on this topic. This was your 10th story, I believe?
Yeah, so this is, I believe, number 9. Next week, we're going to have another story involving a very similar situation, and we can't wait to show you that one, unfortunately.
Right, and for people that want to catch up, because again, it does sound complicated, but Andy does a really nice job of simplifying it, and as you watch these stories, you really see where each person is coming from, and you cover so many different pieces of the puzzle, from victims to people that are accused, those in charge, and all of that is on atlantanewsfirst.com. It's titled The Sixth, and you can catch them all there. Andy, is there anything else you want to add for our viewers?
I just want to put in perspective that you may not see yourself in these people that we profile, but one day you may find yourself in handcuffs and arrested, and you may be wondering, oh my goodness, I want to prove my innocence. And you may be stuck in a similar situation where you're waiting for years of a charge that you believe you did not do, lingering over your head for years. Imagine being in that position. And a lot of people are in that position right here in Georgia, and that's not right.
And I think we'll end it right there. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Andy. And thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Behind the Investigation. I'm Rachel Polanski. Have a good day.